All right, let's talk about Scrum. You've probably heard the term thrown around, right? It's one of the biggest names in the Agile world, used by everyone from tiny startups to massive corporations. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really get into what it is and, maybe more importantly, how it actually works in practice.
So, let me ask you something. Have you ever been on a project where the plan was just perfect? I mean, every single step was mapped out beautifully. But then, reality hits. The client wants something different. A new piece of tech comes out, or some totally random problem appears out of nowhere. And just like that, poof, the whole plan is basically useless.
And that right there, that's the core problem that Scrum was built to tackle. It's this idea that we can predict everything in a world that's, well, not very predictable at all.
You see, the old way of doing things, what a lot of people call the waterfall model, is all about prediction. Think of it like laying bricks for a path. You're supposed to have every single brick planned out before you even start. The problem is, for anything complicated, that's just way too rigid. Scrum, on the other hand, fits into what's called an adaptive model. It's less like a brick path and more like a river. It accepts the fact that we don't know everything up front. It's designed to flow, to learn, and to change direction as you go.
So, what you start to realize is that Scrum isn't just some new process with a bunch of rules. No, it's a totally different way of thinking about work, and it's all built on one really practical, common-sense idea.
And that big idea, it's called empiricism. Sounds fancy, but it's actually super simple. It just means that we make decisions based on what we can actually see and what we've experienced instead of just guessing about what might happen way down the road. It's all about learning as you do.
Okay, so how does this whole empiricism thing actually work? Well, it stands on 3 pillars. First up is transparency. This means everybody can see what's happening. No secrets. Then you've got inspection. We're constantly checking in on our progress and the work itself. And finally, the most important part, adaptation. Based on what we see during that inspection, we change our plan. See? It's this constant cycle. See, check, change. A nonstop feedback loop.
So who are the people making all this happen? Let's get to know the team at the heart of Scrum.
Right, the Scrum team. The first thing you'll notice is that they're small, and that's on purpose. It keeps them nimble. There are no managers, no sub-teams, no complicated hierarchies. It's just one solid, tight-knit group. And this group has all the skills they need to get the job done. That's what we mean by cross-functional. Plus, they get to decide how they do the work. They're self-managing. Okay, within that team, you've got a few key roles. First is the product owner. Think of this person as the voice of the customer, the voice of the business. Their entire focus on the why. Why are we building this? They're constantly juggling priorities to make sure the team is always, and I mean always, working on the most valuable thing first.
Then you have the developers. And listen, this term is broader than you might think. It's not just about programmers. It's anyone who's hands-on building the product. We're talking designers, QA folks, technical writers, you name it. These are the experts on the ground who figure out how to take that vision from the product owner and turn it into something real and usable.
And rounding out the team is the Scrum Master. Now, this is not your typical manager or team lead, not at all. A better way to think of them is as a coach or a facilitator. Their whole job is to make the team's life easier. They run interference, clear roadblocks out of the way, and make sure everyone understands and follows the Scrum framework. They're all about enabling the team to just flow.
All right, so that's the who. We know the team. Now let's get into the how. How does the work actually get done? Well, Scrum moves to a very specific rhythm, a repeating cycle.
And that rhythm is called the sprint. You can honestly think of it as the heartbeat of Scrum. A sprint is just a fixed period of time. It can be a week, 2 weeks, but never more than a month, where the team is laser-focused on turning ideas into a real, usable piece of the product. And the second one's sprint ends, boom, the next one starts right away. It's a continuous pulse.
Now, inside every single sprint, there are these key meetings or events. It all kicks off with sprint planning. That's where the team figures out what they're going to tackle. Then, every single day, you have the daily Scrum, which is a super quick check-in to make sure everyone's on the same page. When the sprint is over, the team shows off what they've built in the sprint review. And last but not least, they talk about what went well and what didn't in the sprint retrospective so they can get better next time. And then, the whole cycle just starts all over again.
Okay, for this whole thing to work, remember that first pillar, transparency? Everyone has to be on the same page. And that's exactly why Scrum has what are called artifacts. Again, artifacts sounds a little formal, but really, they're just tools to make the work visible. Their whole point is to make sure that everybody involved, the team, the bosses, the customers, everyone, has a crystal clear, shared picture of what's going on.
So the first big one is the product backlog. This is basically the master wish list for the entire product. Everything and anything that might be needed goes on this list. It's not set in stone, though. It's a living thing that's constantly being prioritized. And the guiding star for this whole list is the product goal. That's the big picture, long-term vision for where the product is headed.
Then, for each sprint, the team pulls items from that giant master list to create the sprint backlog. This is their plan for just this sprint. It's a snapshot of the work they've committed to, plus their plan for how they're going to get it done. And this backlog has its own commitment, the sprint goal. That's the one thing, the single clear objective that they're aiming to achieve in this particular sprint. And the result of all that work? That's the increment. This is the actual, tangible, usable piece of the product they've finished during the sprint. But here's something that's absolutely crucial. The commitment attached to the increment is called the definition of done. Think of it as the team's quality contract. It's a shared checklist that says exactly what it means for a piece of work to be considered done. Maybe that means the code's been reviewed, all the tests are passed, the documentation is updated, whatever they agree on. It's so important because it means done means the same thing to everyone, every single time.
So, okay, we've got the team, the rhythm, the tools, but what's the bottom line? What's the big payoff? Why on earth do so many successful companies swear by this framework?
Well, the benefits are pretty clear when you lay them out. All those constant feedback loops and that strict definition of done, that leads to a much higher quality product. Delivering working stuff in these short cycles means you get your product out to the world way faster. And because you're always working on the most important thing first, you get a much higher return on your investment. I mean, think about it. Instead of a big bang release after months and months of work, Scrum is all about delivering real value to your customers, bit by bit, early and often. You lower your risk and get more impact out of every single sprint.
When you boil it all down, Scrum is so much more than just a set of events and roles. It's really a mindset. It's a whole philosophy that changes the game from let's make a perfect plan to let's deliver value, little by little, and be ready to change course whenever we need to.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Is the way you work built to just follow a plan no matter what? Or is it built to actually achieve a goal, with the flexibility to adapt and find the best path to get there, even if that path isn't the one you started on? It's something worth thinking about, for sure.